Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And in this one I wanted to speak to you about the reticular activating system and how I've been using that learning that people have gained, or brain scientists have gained about this particular system, to realize that a lot of the arguments that I'm getting on the internet or in real life with people who have opposing views to me are actually a lot of times quite not useless, I would say, but not productive. I would say they're just not productive. Now, if you know anything about the reticular activating system, it does many things, but it is a gatekeeper kind of between the sensory organs and the brain. So and it does many other things. And I'm not an expert, so this is just what I've gauged from what I've learned about it, and I've really been kind of using it as an excuse, perhaps. But this is what I've learned from it. So they use this example of the yellow car a lot when they kind of talk about the reticular activating system. And you probably read stories about this or articles about this where, if you're planning to buy a yellow car, like for example, you're thinking, I'm going to buy a yellow Beetle. And you start, kind of researching a little bit, you kind of go online, things like that. And then you kind of outside the world, and you're roaming around. And all of a sudden, it's as if the world is occupied by millions of yellow beetles. Everywhere you look, there's a yellow beetle. There are yellow beetles everywhere. Inside, outside, there's like little yellow beetles keychains. There are yellow beetles on people's t-shirts. And you're thinking to yourself, I thought that I was the only one who wanted a yellow beetle. Where are all these yellow beetles coming from, right? That's what the reticular activating system does. That's what your brain does, basically, is what I would like to say, is that it kind of is... It's a gatekeeper of sorts because it knows that there's billions of bits of information coming at us on a daily basis. Like billions and billions of bits. You literally are sitting there and you have thousands of bits coming at you, and you have to your brain has to kind of realize, okay, I can't handle all of this stuff. I have to become a gatekeeper of sorts. I have to really modulate the sensory organs so that they're not taking all the information in and they're just taking in certain information, important informations, right? For example, when you first put on a piece of cloth, a shirt or a pant or whatever it might be, at first you will feel the pant or the shirt on your skin. You'll feel the fabric on your skin, but eventually your body gets used to it and you don't even realize that you're wearing something. You still have it on, but your sensory organ, your skin, has gotten used to it, and it doesn't give you that information anymore because it's not relevant to your safety. It's not relevant to your survival. It's not important anymore. If something changes, for example, there's no smell in the atmosphere and all of a sudden you smell something different. Oh, I think someone's baking cookies. It's different. It's something new, and that's why your sensory organs pick up on it. In the same way, the reticular activating system has that job, has that role, that it wants to make sure that you have a little bit of a modulation of the information coming at you. You just don't want to take all of it in. You can't. It's impossible for a human being to do that. You're not a machine. You're not a robot. Your subconscious might be taking in more information than your conscious brain, but still not taking in billions of bits of information, right? And so when you decide, all right, I'm interested in the yellow beetle, all of a sudden the reticular activating system has a goal. It has a thing. All right, I'm going to focus on yellow beetles. And so all of a sudden you're only seeing yellow beetles everywhere. Even though they were present before, now you're just paying attention to them, right? This is how I think a lot of the algorithms on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff work as well. I believe Facebook for sure, and Instagram, where they show you what you like to see, right? They don't want to show you things that you don't like to see. So for example, if you kind of show a little bit of interest in vegan food, all of a sudden you're getting all of these ads for vegan cheese and vegan KFC and vegan this and that, right? I mean, if I like a vegan post or start looking at vegan posts, all of a sudden Instagram is giving me posts or ads for KFC, plant-based KFC, or it's giving me ads for vegan cheese curds. I'm like, oh, interesting. And so, of course, that's how the algorithms work. Same thing on Facebook. They're not showing you things that you don't want to see. They're showing you things based on what you've liked previously, what you've put on your love list, or what you've liked before, or what you've, said, I want to see more of this. Some people do say that. The same way the Facebook algorithms work, the same way the reticular activating system works. It only shows you what you want to see. And of course, if you're in the jungle, this is a very useful technique. It's a very useful capacity of your brain, because you don't want to keep on seeing the same things. You don't want to be noticing the same thing over and over again. That's not going to save you. Like if you're sitting there and everything is the same, chilled out, you're good. All of a sudden you hear a crunch, or leaves crunching, right? And you're like, oh, I think there's a predator nearby. That's when you kind of get alert again, right? But until that point, everything was the same, and your sensory organs were like, everything's the same, don't worry about it, everything's the same. And all of a sudden something new happens. That's when it pipes up. So in the jungle, it's great. You're able to run away from predators or take care of yourself. But here in the real world, where we're not running away from predators, it kind of becomes a little bit of a handicap, because what happens, and the reason I'm doing this video, is because you kind of get enamored or in love with or ingrained into your viewpoints, and you don't see anything else anymore, right? I think that's what happens with a lot of the internet trolls that I encounter, or just people in general who are into their theories or whatever the world might be like. I kind of like to use the example of the flat earthers. Like, I'm not really into the theory of flat earth. I don't think the earth is flat. I don't know. I've never done any research on it. I believe the earth is round. I really, really believe it. But these flat earthers, they really believe that the earth is flat. Now, if you were sitting in front of a flat earther and you were saying, no, but look at, come on. For you, it's absolutely obvious that the earth is not flat. For them, it's absolutely obvious that the earth is flat. And because it's absolutely obvious to both of us, whatever our obvious realizations are, we'll only see evidence that proves what our realization says, right? I'll only see evidence for the fact that the earth is not flat. Of course it's round, right? That other person, the flat earther, is only going to see evidence because the reticular activating system works that way. He or she's only going to see evidence that the earth is obviously flat. For them, they're looking at us thinking, you are crazy. How can you not see it? And we're looking at them thinking, but you're crazy. How can you not see it, right? And I think that's what happens in a lot of these arguments on the internet, when people are, I've been doing some posts on feminism, and people are like, you're crazy, feminism is useless and it sucks and you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sitting there thinking, should I argue with this person? Should I tell him, that he's crazy? But then I kind of think about this, and I'm like, well, all of the evidence that he has in his Facebook feeds, probably, all of his social media feeds, all of the feeds of his sensory organs, his reticular activating system, all of it is telling him that feminism sucks. It's useless. And so for me to come in and say, no, it doesn't suck, you're an idiot, it's going to be useless. It's literally going to be like, he's not even going to see it anymore. The reticular activating system is also used when you look at that video. I'll maybe share it if I remember. The video where, there are these people dancing and all that stuff, and a man in a ape suit walks across the screen. But the people are kind of, tossing a ball across, and you're told to focus on the ball, the basketball they're tossing to each other. Because you're so focused on the ball moving around, you don't notice that a man in an ape suit actually walks across the screen. The first time you see it, you don't see the man. And you're like, no, he wasn't there. And then you look at this video again, and he was there walking across the screen. You just didn't see him because you were so focused on the ball moving across the screen. And that's what the reticular activating system does. It only shows you what you're focused on, what you want to see, ignores everything else. Literally, you'll be in awe. I'll share the video, hopefully I'll remember. You'll be in awe. They're like, no way, how could I not have seen that man in the ape suit walking across the screen? That's what your brain does. It gives you or shows you what you need to see or what you believe is relevant, and you tell your brain what's relevant. I believe yellow beetles are relevant, so you see yellow beetles. I believe flat earth theories are relevant, so you see flat earth theories. I believe feminism is relevant, you see feminism theories. And so that's how we kind of become more divisive rather than, inclusive, because we realize we only believe our own theories, our own belief systems, and we're like, this is obviously correct. How can you not see it? The same thing I think applies to people who are against wearing masks, who believe it's a government conspiracy and, the government's way of controlling us. And there are people who are like, no, there's a disease going on and people are dying. How can you not see that? I think both sides think that they're absolutely right in their own way, and they are, because they just don't see anything out there. They just can't see anything that opposes their view. They're so ingrained into their way of thinking. They're so in deep in there that they just can't see anything else, right? Now, I'm not saying that the conclusion of this is that you shouldn't talk about what you believe in at all, because what's the point? I'm still going to be talking about feminism a billion times over because I believe in it and I think it's useful and has been extremely useful, no matter what anyone says. But the point is, sometimes you're sitting there arguing with a flat earther, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a waste of my conversation skills, this is a waste of my communication skills, this is a waste of my time and energy. This person's obviously very ingrained in their opinion. They're not going to listen. They're not even listening to what I'm saying. They're not even reading what I'm writing. So why am I doing this, right? And so you kind of have to sometimes realize that sometimes you have to let go of certain arguments because this person is really completely useless in that regard. Not in that they're just terrible because they're a terrible person or anything, just because they just can't see it. Their reticular activating system is just off, or on, and they just can't see anything new. Any new information is kind of like, it's blank. It's like their brain doesn't even see it, doesn't even acknowledge it, right? The first point with this would be obviously to make their reticular activating system turn off. And sometimes you can see a change in the person when they suddenly get a new piece of information and it completely blows their entire worldview apart. And you're like, oh my God. And this has happened to me many times in my life. And so that's why I'm like, who knows what's the truth? We don't have any idea what's the truth, really. And so I think we have to kind of go into every situation with a little bit of an open mind and realize, well, everyone's just doing the best they can from the information that they have and from the point of view that they've been exposed to their entire life. That's what they're doing. They're not against you. They're not terrible people, mostly. They're not, evil in any way. They're just doing the best they can with the information that they've been given all their lives. So I wanted to share this with you a little bit. I hope I was able to explain myself properly. I think this is a very important concept to learn as an individual living in this world right now, especially because there's so much conflict and conversation going on with regards to so many different opposing views. And so we need to kind of go in with an open mind as much as possible. If you have questions, comment below. Again, thank you so much for being on my channel. I really appreciate your support. And I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.